that you have and sing it here. Give it warmth and time for a day or a year. Take the song that you have and sing it here. Give it love, give it love. Sing it, love, give it love, give it love, give it love. Very good, very good. You got it. All right. All right, here we are. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. How's everybody doing on the very first day of March? We're in the middle of our interfaith series. Today we will be talking about Buddhism. And this is our little theme song for the series, Every River. So please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing Every River, so many paths to the one. There's a different path for every river, where it goes, how it flows, slow and wide or rocky and rapid, ocean bound, on it goes. There are so many paths to the ocean divine, each one unique in its beauty. Every river finds its own way to the sea. So many paths to the one. You got it. There's a different path for every river. Spirit knows, oh yes, as it grows. Calm and shallow or narrow and twisting, ocean bound, on it goes. Here we go. There are so many paths to the ocean divine, each one unique in its beauty. Every river finds its own way to the sea. So many paths to the one. One more time. There are so many paths to the ocean divide, each one unique in its beauty. Every river finds its own way to the sea. So many paths to the one. So many paths to the one. So many paths to the one. Beautiful.
Good morning. Good morning, Unity of Walnut Creek. Oh, it's good to see you guys weather this cold weather, the 1st of March. Isn't that amazing? Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you, Tyler and Lisa, for leading us, and the band. And we have a special guest returning. They haven't been here for a little while, but I'd like for you to welcome the traveling voice and the sounds of joy. We're glad to have you, ladies and gentlemen, back with us. Thank you so much. And they'll also be accompanied by Dave, Dusty, and Alex. They're... Now, I'd like for you to turn your cell phones off so that we can enjoy this sacred time together. And as you are turning them off, please turn and say hello to our friends at home. Hi, guys. Ladies and gentlemen at home, and children, if you're there, we want you to know that we appreciate you being a part of our service, and we know you're not here in the physical, but we do feel your love, support, and energy. Thank you so much. Okay, let's kind of come down into our hearts. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. Our vision for the world is we envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness. Our mission is who we've come here to be. And let's say this together. We are a loving, inclusive community experiencing our divinity in sacred service for all. And our core values are love, connection, service, and wisdom. Now, I'd like you to also now drop down into your heart just a little bit more and take a breath with me. And I invite you now to join me in affirming our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Now, if the ushers would please come forward, they'll bring with them a packet of welcome information. And if you're here for the very first time and you're willing to do so, please raise your hand so that and you can bring it really big high like I do. Okay, see how easy that is. But only if you want to, okay? And our ushers will bring by that packet of information. And inside there is a little gift card. If you take it to our bookstore, we have a special gift for you. And we encourage you to fill out the connection card to let us know that you were there, that you are here. You were there, but you're here now. And please stay after the service and join us on the patio and let us get to know you. Now, for everybody else, there's not a welcome packet. There's that card, that connection card in the seat pocket in front of you. Please take a minute and fill that out. Let us know you're here. And if you have any questions, any concerns, any feedback, please use the card for that purpose as well. Now, we're going to stand up in just a second, and we're going to meet our neighbors. But we're not going to do the hugs that we normally do, okay, because of all this stuff. Kristen's going to talk to you about that in just a second. But let's just say namaste, okay? And when you hear the music, please sit down so that we can keep going. I know that's a hard one. I know that's a hard one. Because you guys get so excited about telling each other good morning. But let's see if we can make that one happen today, okay? Thanks. So stand up and tell your neighbors good morning.
We are surrounded, sting in the arms of angels we just met. Feel a weight is lifting. If I only let it, now I have a sense of how this life can be. I want to take this freedom home, take it home, and now you can sing this part. That was was a little fast, wasn't it? Surrounded in an ocean of love. Surrounded in an ocean. You can stay standing. Surrounded in an ocean of love. Surrounded in an ocean. Feel that love. We are surrounded. Resting in the arms of angels we just met. I can feel the weight that's lifting. If I only let it. Now I have a sense of how this life can be. I want to take this freedom home. Take it home in me. Come on, everybody. Surrounded in an ocean of love. 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 We are surrounded. Thank you. We are.
Well, that almost worked. Thank you for those that did sit down, or that at least started singing, so thank you. Now, it's the first day of March, first Sunday in March. So what does that mean? Birthday Sunday. So if your birthday is in March, would you please stand so we can honor you?
And we'll sing Happy Birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to you.
And I have a good, yes. Now, this is the first Sunday in March. What happens the second Sunday in March? The what? Daylight savings times. So next week, it is spring forward, right? Spring forward. So what does that mean you do to your clocks? Forward an hour. So that means you lose an hour of sleep, right? So before you go to bed at night, make sure you set them. Otherwise, you're going to show up for service at the wrong time. And whatever happens is perfect, but I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Okay, we have a lot of activities to bring to your attention. Please join us today on the patio after this service for a munch and mingle. Enjoy light refreshments provided by our Connections team while connecting with new and old friends. Join us this Friday evening on March 6th for Soul Singing. This musical meditation is designed to uplift energy, lift consciousness, and change you up. Charge you up. You know what? I said that wrong last time too. Charge you up. So you is going to get changed up. So come on down, and we're going to have fun together, okay? Now, also, I want you to know you guys know that we're going to do a labyrinth here? Yes. So we're doing fundraising for it. So see the lovely ladies outside on the back patio, and you too can be a part of building the labyrinth. I hear we've already raised $1,300 or $1,400. What is our goal? 11,000. We got some work to do, and that's what we at Unity do. We make things happen. So see them outside. The musicians, the people going to play the music next week are Janet and Nyan, and they are fantastic. So, and encourage you to be here on the 6th. Are you look over here? Are you curious about how we can measure what heals us? I wondered that. Join us for a workshop with Bill McKenna on Thursday, March the 12th. He'll share with us the results of experiments he's done using a tool called BioWell. He'll show us the effectiveness of forgiveness, love, coffee, stay with me here, alcohol, and THC. Now, most of us have used one to the other or several over the years, okay? But he's going to help us with that. So he's going to have graphs that support his experiment, so please come and join us. See your new Unity newsletter, The Center Point, for information about all these and about other things going on at Unity. And if you don't get it at home on your email, you can use the connection card in the seat pocket in front of you to sign up for that, and it'll come right to your own door. Now, everybody fill out that connection card, and Reverend Kristen has some few things to say.
Good morning, everyone. So I want to tell you about the classes that are starting this week. We've got a lot in store for you. So on Monday night, John Shin, there he is back with creating harmonic environments with sounds, crystals, and light. And if you've taken his class before, you know how good it is, and you also know that, or I also want to tell you that you will learn new things. So don't let that stop you from coming back. And if you're new to it, what John helps us understand is how to raise our consciousness through sound and healing and light vibration, and to create environments that are conducive to our well-being. On Tuesday night, we have a class with Bob Hardy, who's teaching for the first time. Bob's over there. Bob, say, yeah. Bob is an interfaith minister and a licensed Unity teacher, and he's going to be teaching a classic Unity teaching based on the book, Discover the Power Within You. You know, that is the book that Oprah Winfrey says changed her life and put her on the spiritual path that she's been on. And so it also is a key Unity text. It really speaks to our second principle, the idea of the innate divinity within us, and also answers the question, who is Jesus? So it's really good foundational Unity work, or something to revisit again with new friends. So please consider Tuesday night with Bob. And on Thursdays, Laura Mallory, is Laura here? Oh, there she is. Okay, very good. She's going to be offering us the expressive arts workshop, but it's a whole class of expressive arts. And in this class, you can do things like work with clay and paint and dance and movement. She says absolutely no experience necessary, right? So yeah, beginners are very welcome, and it's going to be an opportunity just to connect with ourselves, with each other, through the arts. So if you want to play in that way, come check that out on Thursday nights with Laura. And today, boy, we've got a lot going on, huh? So before I introduce Dinah, though, I do want to speak to what Linda brought up. So, you know, all this coronavirus stuff, you know, we know the truth in our principles, right? So let's return to our principles and know that all is well. Breathe, everybody, right? To know that the truth of the absolute truth is there is health and healing and wholeness and divine order to all things, and there's common sense, right? And so just to make everybody feel welcome and safe, because that's a part of our loving and inclusive nature here, we've just decided for a while, you know, to not hold hands. So it's best not to shake hands or hold hands, apparently, with this. Hugging seems to be okay, but that's up to you. So we just thought for a while, when we greet each other, we'll just do namaste. At the end of the service, when we have our prayer of protection and our peace song, we'll just hold our hearts, you know, and be with each other in that way. So it doesn't mean you can't shake hands or hug people. Do whatever feels comfortable to you. But I mean, in this arena, in the service, let's just create a new norm for ourselves for a while so everybody can feel comfortable and relax into this whole thing. And so, of course, we know our prayers are really what matters in situations like these. So now I'd like to invite forward on that prayer Reverend Dinah Chapman, my friend, an excellent teacher. Come on up, Dinah. She's going to tell us, yeah. She has a workshop for us today. Oh, I see. Yeah, right. I see that automatic response. Okay.
Let's model it.
Yeah, she has a workshop for us today that I've attended a couple of times, and it is fantastic. She's a great teacher, and it's a very important topic. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dinah, to tell us a little bit more about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning. Yes, I finally made it. I am here for the Evolving to Inclusivity workshop this afternoon. I'm thinking about changing the name at this point to Evolving in Inclusivity. We're not trying to get there. We're already in it, right? So in this season of for nonviolence, we are here to be the change. So I want to invite everybody to come on out. We're going to have some lively discussions, some videos, and we're going to mix that spiritual principle that we know with spiritual praxis, divine right action. Amen?
Amen.
All right, so come on out. I look forward to seeing you all there this afternoon. And like I said, lively. I hope I don't put you to sleep. I don't think I will. Thank you. God bless.
There is no way you're going to put us to sleep. I know that. So now is our time of meditation, and we're going to begin it with a special Buddhist poem that David Peterson is going to share with us, followed by the traveling voice and the sounds of joy. So if you all want to come on up and get in place for a beautiful Buddhist chant that will follow the reading. And then Dinah's going to guide us this morning in our meditation.
This Buddhist poem is by Shanti Deva, the Buddhist poet saint. May I be a balm to the sick, their healer and servitor, until sickness come never again. May I quench with rains of food and drink the anguish of hunger and thirst. May I become an unfailing store for the poor and serve them with manifold things for their need. My own being and my pleasures, all my righteousness, in the past, present, and future, I surrender indifferently, that all creatures may win through to their end.
Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om. Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om.
And as you rest comfortably in your seats, we call upon the indigenous ancestors of this land, our family ancestors, and our spiritual ancestors. And before this great cloud of witnesses of all dimensions, we honor them during this season for nonviolence, Lent, Black History Month, Women's History Month, and in all the celebrations. And we go within. We attune our hearts and minds to the infinite, all-knowing mind, God all joy, God all beauty, God all love, all wisdom. The allness that is right here and right now. We relax and release. We breathe in and breathe out. We breathe in love and breathe out peace. We feel that sweet breath of life, breath of joy, breath of peace. We center our awareness on our hearts, allowing ourselves this precious moment of stillness. And we're filled with gratitude and appreciation for this beautiful, beautiful day and all the good it holds for us and our world. We are one. We are in awe of our interconnectivity and inseparability with all life. Breathe deeply once more. We allow the activity of truth in our consciousness to lift us, to heal us, transform us, and prosper us in every good way. It restores us to intimacy, empathy, and compassion in our world. It is now reuniting us with our true selves and with each other in new ways. And so we be still now. We rest. We are open and receptive to allow infinite possibilities to unfold and manifest, to give us divine right action. And we rest in this knowing now. We are love. I am love. I am light. I am wisdom in the silence. And as you gently bring yourselves back to the room, we will close this time of meditation reminding ourselves that the Buddha taught our hearts have the capacity for immeasurable, boundless, infinite love without any limitation. So we can always, always, always grow our hearts to be more inclusive. And from the Dagara tribe in West Africa, I offer this prayer. May all ancestors join forces to wake up our spirit and bring good thoughts into our minds. Then we shall see the good that awaits us and accept it. And from John 13, from our master teacher, love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. And so it is. Amen.
Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om.
joy. God is being. Praise the Spirit all day long. Praise the Spirit all day long. Oh yeah, hey yeah. 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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. 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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I am moving to the rhythm of the Holy Spirit. This dance of light, God inspired, keeps me dancing. My faith is strong, keeps me dancing. My faith is strong. Oh yeah, hey yeah. 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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. 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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
There's a silence in the stillness of the Holy Spirit. Oh, what love, God inspired. Let us be it everywhere. Let us see it everywhere. Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey
Wow, I'm feeling all Zen-like. How about you? How appropriate for Buddhism Sunday. And I realize we have not yet lit our interfaith candle, and you all know how I love to be an acolyte, so. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Whoa. There we go. So would you like to enter nirvana today? I should first warn you of what you just signed up for, because a lot of us think nirvana is bliss or heaven, which it is, and actually what it really means, the word means, is blow out or extinguish. And so it's about blowing out or extinguishing the attachments of the ego, which allows us to move into the liberated state of nirvana. So it means we need to do a little work to move the stuff that's in the way, right? And that's actually what it's all about. So, in Buddhism, there's so much said about, not getting into the grasping for what we want. So this is part of what the ego does, right? This isn't okay, so I want that, and I want that, and I want that, and I want that. And when we find what we want, it's the clinging to it, right? And don't let me lose this thing that I love so much now that I've worked so hard to get. Or it's the aversion. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. So this is sort of what the ego is always doing. Don't want that, want some of that. Don't want that, want some of that, And so Buddhism helps us get into the presence, right? And in the present, all is well. In the present, we live in a sort of open-handed free space where things that come and things go and things happen, and there can be a joy and delight in those things, as well as it's okay, life is impermanent. Things happen that are temporal. So there's also a misnomer often then that because of that kind of open-handed, accepted way of living, that there's a dispassion in Buddhism, or that the detachment makes us sort of, pull away from the joy of life. But if you've ever met Buddhist monks who are really, deep into their practice, such as like the Dalai Lama, what you experience is so much joy, right? So much compassion in that freedom. And so that's really the heart of Buddhism, is compassion. And that's where I really want to focus our talk today, is more on that aspect of Buddhism. The Buddha said that nirvana is our natural state, and anyone can reach it by practicing as he did. And his practice actually began with the idea of witnessing human suffering and therefore feeling compassion. The Buddha's name was Siddhartha Gautama, and he was born in 563 BC in India to a royal family. He was a prince right from the get-go. And so his parents brought in fortune tellers for this new baby to foretell of what would happen in his life. And the fortune teller said one of two things. He will either be a great king or he will be a great spiritual leader. Now, his parents were really wanting a great king for the land. And so they did everything they could to assure that that would be his path. So big walls went up around the palace, and he was given all the worldly pleasures you could ever imagine a young child could ever need, or a person. Great food and beautiful clothing and lots to play with and gorgeous gardens, beauty everywhere, color everywhere, companionship. He was allowed to play whatever sports he wanted. He became a great warrior. And so, he had beautiful women as a part of his companions. And so you would think, right, this young man would just be so thrilled with everything. And I guess he wasn't unhappy. He was 29 years old. He had gotten married, and he had a child. And one day, on a rare occasion, he was outside of the palace, and he had a vision of three different visions, actually, which changed the whole trajectory from king to spiritual leader. And the three visions were that he first saw with his physical eyes, a sick person. And he realized there was illness amongst humanity. And then later he saw somebody, an old man who looked very decrepit, and he realized aging and old age was a part of the human experience. And then actually before he returned to the palace, he saw a corpse, and he realized that death was part of the human experience. And so once he was awakened to the pain of the human experience and felt moved by it, then that became his whole life. And he snuck out in the middle of the night and became a monk, renouncing everything. And then, as many of us know, after many, many years of practice and teachings, he became enlightened under the Bodhi tree in deep meditation. And so it is meditation that is at the center of the practice, but you see what it opens us to is the soft heart, the open heart of compassion. And so this is such a key piece. Compassion, Merriam-Webster dictionary says, is the understanding of another's pain and the desire to mitigate that pain. And so that's a big piece of what compassion is. It can also be to mitigate our own pain, a recognition of our own pain. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So you've met the key player, right? The Buddha, who was born 500 years before Jesus even. And actually, he taught for 46 years. He didn't make his transition until he was 80. So he really had a long, robust time of teaching on the earth. Another key player in Buddhism is Kuan Yin. Anybody heard of Kuan Yin? Yeah, a lot of you have. So I have a statue here from my garden that I've had for a long time of Kuan Yin. And one of the things that really warms my heart about her is, there's also a picture, I think we have, John, of her statue, if for those who can't see the statue up here. But one of the things that really warms my heart, besides that she's this just amazing embodiment of human compassion, is this statue itself. When Grace, our goddaughter, lived with us in Santa Barbara, just at the ages when she was learning to walk and talk, every morning she would come out on the patio where Kuan Yin was standing, and she saw about eye to eye with her. And she'd say very softly, "Hi, Kuan." And it just, got me every time, you know. So it is that love and compassion that continues. What Kuan Yin is a bodhisattva. And so this is her story. She first was, an earlier incarnation of Kuan Yin was a male in India in about the 12th century, and later she became popularized in China as Kuan Yin, the goddess, and she was incarnated as a woman who showed such great love and compassion for everyone, including to her very abusive father. She was very kind and compassionate and did amazing things for him as well, that when she got to the gates of paradise at the end of her life, she heard the cries of the earth below, the story goes, and she made a vow to return to earth until everyone could experience this liberation, this nirvana, this idea of the ego attachments falling away and the fullness of compassion and love that she was able to embody. And so a bodhisattva like Kuan Yin makes the vow to keep reincarnating, to keep returning to earth until every sentient being, which means every being that feels, including, they say, a blade of grass. So every blade of grass, in addition to humanity and everybody else, has reached that liberation as well. So it's going to be a lot of lives. We're pretty sure of that. Did you know that the Dalai Lama, the 14th Dalai Lama, who many of us know and love, and who lives in Dharamsala, India now, is a bodhisattva? And he is actually considered in Tibetan Buddhism to be a reincarnation of Kuan Yin herself. And so we have a picture of the Dalai Lama if you've not seen him before, or in case you just want to enjoy his joyful countenance. One of the things I love about the Dalai Lama, besides the fact that he just sort of imbues compassion and joy and wisdom, is that he speaks in a way that is accessible to everybody. He says, if you want to make others happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, guess what he says? Practice compassion. It's that simple, right? Simple, not easy always, right? So this is a key tenet for us, is that getting to this happiness that many of us chase after, not grasping for it, right? Not being in the mode of grasping so much, but it is through that practice, that the stillness of meditation practice, that we reach that heart, that then it becomes accessible to us. In Buddhism, there are 4 elements of immeasurable love, and one of them is, you guessed it, compassion, known as karuna in Pali or Sanskrit. And it means the resolve to liberate all creatures from their pain. There are the other 3 elements of immeasurable love are very related, so I'll just mention them here. One is metta, or loving kindness. You may have practiced metta meditation, where you hold in your heart yourself and you say blessings to yourself. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I, these kinds of whatever it is that you wish to bless. And then you might bless somebody who's dear to you, and somebody who you maybe feel neutral about, like the checkout person at the grocery store. You might not know their name, but there's a familiarity. And then once your heart is open to all that compassion, where we started with ourselves, then we bring in somebody we're having difficulty with. And it's easier to practice that once we've sort of opened our hearts. So metta, loving kindness practice, comes out of this element of immeasurable love called the desire to bring happiness to all sentient beings. Another one is sympathetic joy, taking delight in each other's happiness. So when somebody has a great experience, we really feel the joy, can sincerely feel the joy with them. And the last element is even-mindedness, or equanimity, which is that ability to hold an impartial kind of status or significance or love for all people. It's got that even-mindedness that enables us to love all with equity, with a sense of equity. It's what we would often call, raising up our love from that personal level of love to the universal level of love, where we can love all beings. So there's a story from a woman who was taught directly by the Buddha himself. Her name was Kissa Gotami. And Kissa came to the Buddha under great duress, in lots of pain, emotional pain and grief. She had lost her father, and then she had lost a friend, and then the unbearable loss that came to her was of her only child, her son. And he was a small boy, and she carried his lifeless body to the Buddha. And she was just overcome with so much grief and really pity for herself that she couldn't just see past it. It was just a blur. And she brings him to Buddha, and she says, I can't, you have to bring him back to life. I have to have this one being in my life. I've lost so much, and this is my son, my only child. And the Buddha says, I will help you, but this is what you need to do. You need to go to the houses of the villagers and gather up some mustard seed, and then bring it back to me, and then we'll go from there. And so the mustard seed was plentiful at the time, and he said, but before you go, one other thing. He said, you can only take mustard seed from a house that has not been touched by loss. So if the household has not experienced a death in the family, or, in the household, or in somebody who was close to them, then you can receive the mustard seed. So as you can imagine, she goes to one house, knocks. She asks the woman is happy to help her. She runs to get the mustard seed. She's about to give it to Kissa, and Kissa says, oh, wait, I need to know if you have experienced any death in this household. And she said, oh, yes, my aunt just died. She lived with us for a long time, and she tells the story, and she even begins to shed a tear. And Kissa says, I'm sorry, I can't receive the mustard seed, and moves on to the next house. You can kind of see where this is headed, right? Gets to the third house. Actually, the person has lost a child themselves and begins to cry. And house after house, she goes all through the village, completely disheartened because she has no mustard seed, because there is no house that has not been touched by loss. So as she returns to the Buddha to tell him this, it begins to dawn on her that a human life includes loss. And this exactly, of course, is what the Buddha wanted her to see. And so, with great ceremony and love and reverence, they bury her son together, and she joins him for the rest of her life as one of the devoted disciples of Buddhism. And so it is that knowing, that recognition in this story that is so important. And there's some real nuances or maybe obvious things in the story, I think, that are important to pull forward. That, what she began with was this sort of victim place of self-pity, completely swallowed up in an inability to see beyond herself. And in time, our awakening, our true compassion allows us to begin to open that up, right? To begin to see that there is a shared experience, and in this case, this shared experience of loss. What's also really important is not to get into a game of comparison. Pain is pain. And so it's easy for us to disconnect or disassociate because we've decided somebody else's pain is greater than ours or somebody else's pain is lesser than ours. But you can see how this, your pain is greater or lesser than mine, doesn't really serve. Because where we connect is the feeling of pain. I don't have to understand exactly what it feels like for your specific circumstances in order to have compassion, because I know what it feels like to be in pain. And I don't need to make a judgment about my pain is greater or lesser than yours. Remember, Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. And so it is that the comparison game is just yet another ego game, another attachment that we get into of how things could be or should be, or we wish them to be, or we wish they not to be. And instead of all that, we just find the common ground. I know what it feels like to be in pain, right? Every human being knows that feeling. Now, in Buddhism, they talk a lot about suffering, but there is a difference. We all experience pain. If we are freed, our minds are freed from all the stories that we tell and all the things we add on to that, we don't have to have suffering on the pain, right? That is ultimately a choice. We can free ourselves of the suffering that happens, which is really what the Buddha points to in his teachings over and over again, is that the freeing of these attachments, the extinguishing of the ego attachments is what allows us to open up to this heart of compassion and this truth that is within us. So instead of I know how you feel, our standpoint can be more like I know what it feels like to experience pain. And so from there we can really be helpful to one another. The Dhammapada, which is scriptures in some of the scriptures of Buddhism, says, encountering those in need is not a burden, but a sweetness. It's a sweet opportunity to make connection with what is most dear and true and deep within us in the human walk. And yet, we can also, if it does feel like a burden, sometimes it feels like a burden because maybe we've been in overstretch mode, right? In overgive mode. Maybe we need ourselves a little compassion. Self-compassion is a really important part of this. When the Buddha speaks of being one with everything, that includes ourselves, right? So when we talk about having compassion for all sentient beings, it means us too. And so having that ability to bring forth a little kindness and compassion for ourselves is absolutely essential on our walk. Karen Drucker sings that song, I Will Be Gentle with Myself. That becomes my go-to. If I'm feeling like I need to be refilled, I listen to that song. I will be gentle with myself. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will treat myself like a newborn baby child. It doesn't get any sweeter and kinder and compassionate than that, does it? And so that always brings me back into my heart and into that space of slowing it down and allowing myself to feel that compassion. There are a lot of great practitioners out there, Buddhist teachers like Tara Brach and Kristen Neff that teach about self-compassion. And one of the practices that Tara Brach teaches is to put your hand on your heart when you're needing a little compassion, and sometimes even just sort of rubbing, your heart a little bit. It starts to center you there, and it's like a very gentle, kind touch to yourself. and to begin to offer that comfort to yourself, then you can acknowledge, oh, this is suffering. So in a moment that you are suffering in traffic, when you are suffering because your coworker did that one more time, or whatever it is that causes you to suffer, just putting your hand on your heart, oh, this is suffering, And it does include humor sometimes, that we can begin to laugh at ourselves and to break up some of that. And then we might say some words of encouragement to ourselves, like we would talk to a child, darling, it's going to be okay. Everything's all right, It's, things, this too shall pass. And yet I understand there is suffering right now. There is pain right now, So that kind of practice can really help us ground and give ourselves a little time and a refill. Of course, there's nothing like spiritual practice itself, meditation and prayer in particular, that refill our cup, to take a few moments in the silence to allow ourselves to be filled by inspiring words or songs or chants like the ones that we've experienced this morning that really put you in that place of openness to receive, to refill, to allow. And that practice that the Buddha taught of meditation is really key to ground ourselves, to allow ourselves to be grounded. In fact, Kuan Yin is always barefoot to represent the fact that she's grounded and she's humble. And so that she's always in that kind of space of groundedness and humility. And that can also bring us a sense of that peace, of that, feeling the earth beneath our feet, feeling a sense of spiritual groundedness within ourselves. Without a practice, it makes it really hard to really give to a great level, because we give and give and give, and then we get exhausted. I watched my sister, who we sometimes call Saint Lisa, because she gives and gives and gives, but she doesn't have any mooring. She doesn't have any anchoring practice. She doesn't practice prayer and meditation, and either one, or any particular spiritual practices that I know of. And so there's no way of that refilling. When she's come to Unity, she says, what's everybody doing during the meditation time? Like, what are they thinking about? It's so quiet, But she likes us. So my hope is always that she'll come back again and again and learn some ways to really help herself refill, because she gives and gives and gives. And when we give and give and give, we can give from a caring space, but it's going to run out. But when we are tapped to the internal spring of divine love, divine compassion, of the essence of peace, we get filled over and over again. And so then we can just be part of that circulation in the world of kindness, of compassion, of joy, whatever it is that we want to share with each other. So, giving and receiving, then, is a really important piece, isn't it? Once we realize that everybody has needs, including ourselves, we can get into that symbiotic rhythm of giving and receiving, that natural wave of compassion. I can't think of a better Buddhist story to embody this than the one of the baby elephant and his mother, who was once this baby elephant who was a beautiful, shiny white color with a coral face and coral feet. And so he had this unusual, striking look to him. And they say his trunk was like a silver cord. And he and his mother had this beautiful relationship where they would walk about, and she would take the tender leaves from the mango tree, and she would feed them to her son, and she would say, first you, then me. She would feed him the sweet mangoes, and then she would feed herself. And when they lived near a lotus pool, and so they would go in the pool, and she would take the clear water, and she would give him a bath, and then she would bathe herself, and she'd say, first you, then me. And then he would squirt some water at her, and they'd start playing, back and forth, squirting water at each other. And then they would take a nap in the muck next to the lotus pool. In the afternoon, she would go and sit under the rose apple tree in the shade, and he would play with the other baby elephants. And so this is how they passed their days. And then, As time went on, he became a very strong bull. He was the tallest and the biggest of all the bulls, and so he really stood out with his unique coloring and his strength and his size. And as he grew with those big, long tusks, his mother's tusks began to yellow and chip some. And in time, she became blind. And he was caring for his mother in this very tender way, except for one day while she was sitting under the rose apple tree in the afternoon and he was off with the other elephants playing in the forest, the king spotted him and said, "Oh, I'd love to have that elephant. I'd like to ride that beautiful elephant." So he captured him and brought him back to the palace. He treated him well. He gave him all these beautiful flowers and jewels and blankets and sweet plums and pure water, but the young baby elephant would have or the young bull would have nothing to do with it. He didn't want to eat or drink. And finally the king said, "What's the matter? I've given you everything." And he said, "But none of it matters to me, and I cannot eat or drink until my blind, aging mother has had something to eat or drink. All I can do is think about her." And the king said, "What kindness. I've never seen such compassion and kindness, not even in a human being." And so he let the elephant free. And the elephant went to the lotus pool where he found his mother laying in the muck next to the pool, very weakened by then. And he brought some of the cool water in his trunk, and he awakened her. And she said, "Is it raining or is it my son returned?" And he said, I've been returned, mother." And he put some of the water on her face, and miraculously her eyes were healed and she could see again. And so as she began to weakly get up, he reached for the tender leaves of the mango, and he fed her, and he said, "First you, then me." And he took the sweet mangoes, "First you, then me." And he gave her another bath, "First you, then me." That's compassion. That full circle, that understanding that we are in this together. And it's that connection that matters. It's that heart-opening experience of compassion that matters most to us. So last week we talked about the love of Christianity. This week, the compassion of Buddhism. We know that Christianity doesn't have the corner on love, and Buddhism doesn't have the corner on compassion. But there is all of us together in all these faiths that we celebrate. Karen Armstrong, the teacher and author, she brought together a council of conscience that included key leaders from Judaism, as well as Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, and so on. And together they made the Charter for Compassion. And so if you'd like to take the vow and sign the Charter for Compassion, you can go to charterforcompassion.org and be a part of that practice as well that is very interfaith in its style. So the key here, I think, is that we can be a refuge for compassion. In Buddhism, they often talk about taking refuge in the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, in the Buddha's as the teacher, the teachings, and the community. And we can take refuge. We can be refuge. We can be the refuge of compassion for others. And that's really what this is all about, is us becoming that ability, becoming that centered and that strength and that open-hearted to be that kind of refuge for each other. So let's close out knowing that together, that we can be this refuge. And when we say all sentient beings, let's not forget that includes us too. So let's say this together. I am a refuge of compassion for all sentient beings. And so it is.
Thank you, Kristen. That was lovely. And I love that first you, then me. That was precious. Thank you. Our prayer chaplains are available after service to provide personal prayer support. So if you have, or if you're one of the prayer chaplains serving today, would you please stand? Thank you. Thank you. Whether you have a joy or a concern on your heart today, praying with one of our prayer chaplains is a very powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up in consciousness. And now let's open to the practice of giving. I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation, which is, as we give, so shall we receive. Because we know our true nature is already abundance. There is no lack and limitation. For your convenience, there are a variety of ways to give to Unity of Walnut Creek. For electronic giving, you can download the app called Give, spelled G-Y-V-E. Or you can take an envelope from the seat pocket in front of you. And for those of you at home, we don't forget you. You can go to the Donate on the Watch Live page, or you can also use Give, and we know that your gifts are also bountiful. Thank you. Now I invite you to take your tithes and your love offering and repeat our affirmation with me. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thanks for being here today.
You can join and sing with this song with us if you care to. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. 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 I used to think that I had to. I used to think that I should. The scripture told me that I had to be good. But now I love because I want to. I love because I'm free. I'm guided by the Spirit. Oh yeah. The Spirit of God is upon me. Everybody say, oh yeah. I don't need any love. I want to say with all my heart that God is my all and all. I let go of my burdens. Loving God has set me free. Thank God for my freedom, yeah. Oh yeah, the Spirit of God is upon me. Everybody say, oh yeah. God is upon me. I say, oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh. You see, I thought it was my duty I thought it was my job. Somehow I believed that loving God would be hard. But loving God is wonderful. Loving God is ecstasy. Blinded by the Spirit, oh yeah. The Spirit of God is upon me. Everybody say, oh, oh, oh.
Spirit of God is upon me.
And I say, oh, 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 oh.
The Spirit of God is upon me.
Is upon me. Oh, yeah.
The Spirit of God is upon me.
Say it. Oh, 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 yeah.
The Spirit of God is upon me.
Say it. Oh, oh, yeah.
The Spirit of God is upon me.
I say it. Oh, 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 oh.
The Spirit of God is upon me.
Say it. Oh, 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 oh.
The Spirit of God is upon me.
I say it. Oh, 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 oh.
The Spirit of God is upon me. Oh.
I think we could just stay all day and chant with you all. Thank you. Well, we give thanks for the abundant good that is here, for the joy of being together, and for the compassion that we offer our world that is just so open to our compassion. We pour it forth with ease and grace and refill again and again, and these gifts are a representation of that abundant good. Let's bless it together. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. Children are coming in.
Coming together.
We're coming together.
We're coming together.
We're coming together.
Coming together.
We're coming together.
Coming together.
We're coming together.
One heart.
They can be in front.
One mind.
Gia.
One love.
Gia.
Coming together. One more time. One heart.
One heart.
One mind.
One mind.
One love. Coming together. All right.
Right here in front of the stairs.
There
kids.
she is. Hi.
Right here.
Hi, everyone.
We're coming together. We're coming together. Perfect. We're together. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we were working with Unity's prayer of protection that we're going to say here in just a minute. Does anyone want to share any insight on that, Landon?
To heal my dog Stormy, he's been limping.
Oh, so you had a prayer for Stormy.
Nice.
Yeah. We had 3 different kinds of prayers today, right? Or 4, actually. We had a prayer of gratitude, or a prayer of love, or a prayer of happiness. What did you want to share, Emmy?
Peace.
Or peace, yeah.
Nice.
So we were drawing that first picture, the light of God surrounds us. And what did you draw for that? Anyone want to share? Yeah.
Stars and sun.
Stars in the sun.
nice.
Anybody else? Yeah?
The solar system.
Oh,
Wow.
they said, Miss Michelle, are we allowed to draw galaxies? And I said, you're always allowed to draw galaxies. And then the love of God enfolds us. What did you draw for that? Anyone want to share? Hearts. Anybody else? And then my favorite, the power of God protects us. What did you draw for that? For power. You didn't get that far. You can work on it when you get home. Yeah. Anybody? Did anyone get that far? Yeah, Landon?
What was it about again?
The power of God.
Oh, yeah. I drew like a heart and filled it in with red, and that's what I drew.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and we could also draw a superhero cape. Wonderful, creative, loving, and prayerful children. So, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you all for sharing. Oh, see, we're going to bless you all. You don't want to miss your blessing, do you? Let's bless our children, youth, and teachers together. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. And so you can remain standing as we close out with our prayer of protection and our peace song. And I just want to remind you of the Evolving Inclusivity Fabulous Workshop at 2 o'clock. And don't forget to vote on Tuesday. All right, together. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God ever present, family all are we. Let us walk with each other. Perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
You are the light, the love, the peace, the compassion on earth right now. So let your light shine, have fun, and spread joy. So it is. You want to blow the candle?